Hello, my name's Caitlin, and welcome to Tea Time. This is the tea bus that we're in. It's a bus in works. I've been really putting this off, but it's been something that I've been inspired about, and a few conspiring events has been brought me to this moment. Today, we're going to be making a cayenne and comfrey salve. I've already prepared the oils, and I'll talk a little bit about how I did that, and then just a little bit brief history about me. About 4 years ago, I kind of went rogue. I used to be a firefighter. I was going to school to be a paramedic, all this, and I realized that there was something seriously wrong with our medical system, and so I began to self-study and learn about plant medicine, and it's led me down this crazy winding path, and here I am to be making medicine for you. This is something that I find that's really important. Personally, I have a hard time selling my medicines. It's something that I'm struggling with, but I also know that I'm quite good at it and have a gift and would like to share that with people. So that's where YouTube comes in. Okay, so first, here is my cayenne oil. Look at that color. Can you see that? Look at how beautiful that is. So these were, I was woofing on a farm when I was pregnant with my daughter, Mary Moon. And basically I just took these Thai chili peppers, and I harvested a whole bunch of them. Like, I had a couple gallon jars of these cayenne peppers, and I shoved them all in a jar and poured a variety of organic oils. My favorite is sweet almond oil. There's something about the smell and the taste and the texture of the sweet almond oil that really resonates with me in my salves. So that's the cayenne oil. I let this sit for about 6 months. It says, let's see, I put it in on the 23rd of June, and I strained it October 14th. So see how my fancy labeling here. I used sunflower oil, sweet almond oil, and I labeled it capsicum because that is the medicinal constituent that has been found in this particular fruit of the plant. And the lovely comfrey. I have a lot of personal moments with this particular plant. When I gave birth to my daughter, did it on my own with my partner in Moab, Utah, and since she was my first, we were new at giving birth, and needless to say, I was hemorrhaging. I was losing blood, and I was losing a lot quickly, and when I packed my herbs, when I knew I went into labor, I put comfrey in my little backpack full of herbs, and this plant came to my rescue. And we used it externally, and I took a really, really potent dose over a few hours' time internally, and needless to say, my daughter's almost 2 and I'm still here. So comfrey, I harvested this plant in the spring. I came across a beautiful huge patch of it, and it was like it called me up there. I was like driving back and forth, and it was awesome, and it was there, and so I harvested a large amount of it, and I made this oil. As you can see, my same method here. This is the flower, leaves, and stalk, and then I made it on the 5th, or 5/21/17, and then I strained it. I strained this one earlier because the leaf matter, I noticed, was like kind of had a smell to it, but then I realized that was the comfrey. Like I have one mix that I made for pregnancy that's been sitting for several months, and it's great. I just understand now that that's just the smell of comfrey. So here's my comfrey oil. The other things that I must use in my salve, it's taken me a couple years to really fine tune and understand how I want the texture. Like I have an example here. This is my, again, fancy labeling, masking tape and permanent marker. My violet dandelion salve, I harvested both of these last spring. And this is for your lymphatic system and any kind of bumps and scrapes and maybe like growths that you might have. Violet is really potent for cancerous growths. Personally, I like to use it because I find that in the place that we are, my thyroids will swell, and then I will get swelling under my armpits, and I use this on my throat and my armpits and my breasts, and it's very effective. And I also use it for my daughter. She sometimes gets like bumps, like if she eats gluten, and she doesn't often, but if she does, like I find that this helps her skin because she gets a reaction from the gluten. So here's kind of what it looks like. You can see that I used it, but it's like the perfect texture. I really like figured it out. So so how I get that perfect texture: beeswax. Now I only use a small amount of this beeswax. I learned this trick with beeswax because it usually comes in big blocks. You take it and you cut it up as much as you can, because anybody who's ever made a salve and used beeswax knows that it is quite difficult to cut. So you take it and you put it on a cookie sheet, and then on very low heat you put it in the oven, and it melts, and it turns into these nice breakable pieces. See, so which is great when you're making your salves, because you don't want to be like sawing it off. Another must, I'm really big, since I already have my oils, and if you get too much, during the hotter days, or if someone keeps it in their pocket, it will melt. And this is, while I was learning, I was figuring this out. So I use a lot of butters, and one of my favorites is this cacao butter. First of all, it smells really good, and you want to eat it. Second of all, it's really great on your skin. And it doesn't melt too easily, so it's really great to add to your salve so that it stays firm. Also, this last summer I was introduced to the super potent shea butter. Okay, so this stuff is like amazing on its own. Like I typically like to get the yellow shea butter, which has the root, but this is what I had access to this time. So as you can see, like I take it like this, and if you go, it turns into this like silky smooth amazingness. So those are the things that I typically use in my salve, and so let's get to it. I'm already at a million minutes here. So first thing that I'll do, and so I'm not too measure this, measure that. Okay, I'm very intuitive when I make my medicine. Okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then I go from there. So I've got my handy dandy trusty mushroom pot here. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to break up and I know it's kind of difficult to see here. So I'm going to break up my let's drop some there. Break up my beeswax, and you only need a little. I'm only going to make a few salves today because I typically have vitamin E oil and I didn't have it today. So I just want to see how it does. Herbalist that I knew, she told me that vitamin E oil is a really good stabilizer. But I think that with the oils from the cayenne and such, that it's really not, it's not necessary. And I like to use things that, like the vitamin E oil is great, but it's like, I haven't been sure that it's a necessity, is what I'm getting at. Okay, so I got my cacao butter in there. And I'm not going to put my oils in until after I've heated up and liquefied these other contents, because these already have their deal. You know, they have, and if I were to heat them up, it could damage the medicinal components in them, and I don't want to do that. So these are, it's technically, I can't say it's a medicinal salve, but that's why I make these things, because I don't go to the doctor. I don't take my children to the doctor. My partner doesn't go to the doctor. So when we have some kind of affliction, either him or I or us both combined together, we have to figure it out. And so, plus, you know, there's like the magic and the amazingness that comes with making herbal medicine and taking that responsibility for yourself and your health. So, a few things that this salve that I'm making currently would be good for is muscle and joint pain. So both cayenne and comfrey are known for their amazing healing power on the physical body. So with that being said, if it's an internal injury, breaks, sprains, bumps, bruises, I use just raw comfrey powder on my daughter when she gets hurt. Like if she's super go-go, kind of reckless, she'll just like run as fast as she can, and so anyhow, if she gets a bruise or whatever, I just put that raw comfrey powder, root powder, like right on her bump. I've had a few injuries that, like I told you, that I used comfrey. I got a cut one time that was pretty deep. I was getting water from a spring in Moab, Utah, and so I have these induction stoves. So this is a really awesome thing because I can control the heat, because these things have medicinal qualities on their own, and I don't want to burn them. Plus, it makes the salve smell bad. So I'm going to just give it a go here. Right now I have it about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to give it a shake. So, as I was saying about comfrey, I was filling water at a spring in Moab, and I had a gallon jug, and I slipped on the water, and it burst into pieces and went all into my arm and into my leg, and I was bleeding. My shoe was filled up with blood. It was pretty gnarly, and we just had comfrey root powder in the car because we keep it with us, and yeah, we just took that comfrey root powder, put it right on. It stayed on there for like 2 days. Like, someone showed up and they were like, aren't you going to go to the hospital? I'm turning it down because it's kind of simmering already, and I don't want it to do that. I don't want to cook it. I just want to melt it. So, yeah, and my cut healed up great. The bleeding stopped, all that, yada, yada. Okay. So, so comfrey is one that has just come to me, come to my rescue time after time. Now, cayenne, I am still certified, but I've been a CrossFit coach. It was kind of a part of my journey in learning about nutrition and herbal medicine. But with that being said, I've had like a kind of a go-go mentality, and my jobs previously have caused some damage in my back, and I just take this, like, I have a separate one that I use, like, as you can see, it's like almost gone, and I just put the oil straight on my back. And if I'm like having some pain at that time, then it makes it like boom, gone. Like, it really heats it up, Now, one time, my son's only 4 months old, and I was breastfeeding, and I had put some on my chest, which cayenne would be really good, like if you were feeling like you had some congestion in your chest or like tightness, like you can't breathe. Like I find that it's because it opens up the blood vessels and it like rushes blood to that area, and I was feeling like more anxious than like having congestion, and I was putting it on my chest, and some got on my breast, and so when I breastfed him, he came up and he had like red around his eye, and it was okay because it just like, he's a baby and it brought the blood like very obviously to that area, but he wasn't bothered by it or anything, you know. Okay, so my little mixture is finished here. So this cayenne oil is my baby here. So I'm going to take a tablespoonful and put it in the already heated up oil. Maybe I'll add a little bit more. The ravens are outside talking to me. So usually, like when I'm doing something like this, like a deer will walk by or ravens will come, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to change what I'm doing and listen to my ancestors, because that's how I learned to make medicine in the first place. Okay, so now we've got our spicy stuff in there. I'm gonna add our comfrey. Oh, it smells so good. Like the leaf matter, I was like, oh, I don't know, that's a little bit strange, but like now, it smells so good. Okay, so I'm gonna do a tablespoon of comfrey. So comfrey actually, forgive me for not being super technical, but there's a constituent in comfrey that actually causes your cells to become hyperactive and heal very quickly. And maybe another time, if I do more specific, I would like to do like specific talk about plants and work with plants and kind of go with that. Show you guys how I do that. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a little stir. And we can go more in depth with that. And oh, I forgot to get out my little, so I guess I usually have like a little pour thing, but I'm not sure where that's at right now. And you have to be careful with the stuff that you use when you use beeswax. That's what I found, because once it cools, it hardens, and beeswax can be really hard to clean off stuff. So it's like nice to have like specific things that you use to make your salves. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna strain it. Now all this stuff is basically out of it and it's just liquid, but just in case, I'm gonna strain it into this beaker here. Oh, now I hear the geese. Oh, they love it. Okay, get it all out of there. Test it out a little bit, see how I did. Oh, that's good. When something's really energetically potent, I get this like clicking, like a dolphin almost in my head. Like it's like click, click, click. Like I can audibly hear it, like click, click, click. And that's spicy. That's good stuff. Okay. So this salve would be good for people who, I originally thought of it when I was really into CrossFit. And so people who are dealing with chronic athletic injuries, or like elderly, like I used comfrey on my grandmother when she had a cup. Okay, so here it is. It's already hardening, so I gotta hurry, but that's what it looks like. And so what I'm gonna do is I have these little tins. I'm just gonna pour it in there. And I'm gonna gently set it so it doesn't spill and it's allowed to cool. I don't put the lid on yet because then it could condensate and then it could go rancid, and you don't want that. So I let it cool. And so I think I have enough for about 2 in here, which is good because I didn't want to make a lot. See how you can see the beeswax is already hardening in there. Okay. That's the first thing that cools, by the way. So you got to be kind of quick, and I'm talking. So I just made 2. I've got a little bit left, and I'll usually like to waste it. So if I have like a little bit left like this isn't enough to fill a tin. And so I'll use that on my body or my, you know, whomever needs it at the time. So it doesn't waste. You know, maybe if you were doing bigger batches, it would be different. Wow, I did 20 minutes. So that is a cayenne comfrey salve, the way that I do it. And I'm really excited that I'm even just doing this, no matter if I post it or not. All right, so thank you for watching, and I would love to bring more of the way that I do medicine onto social media. Peace.